Do a photography layout here like my example where we're designing a layout for 6 photographs on A3 plus paper. So you will see that on our Photoshop assignment here you can snag my measurements here. 329 is the short side, 483 is the long side. If you want it to look like mine, you got to do 483 width, 329 height. So we can do that 483, 329. And we don't want this to be pixels, so we might have to change. We want this to be millimeters. 483, 329, 300 per inch. That's excellent. We can just go in and say create. Now we have a big blank canvas. You might need to go in and go into view and turn those rulers on if you don't have them turned on. View, rulers. Now, dragging down from the ruler, just click on the ruler, drag down, you'll get these little lines. If you hold down Shift on your keyboard, they move in happy little increments of 50 millimeters. Be sure to give yourself at least 50. That'll make it look, you know, normal. Our printers have a 30 millimeter, 3 centimeter margin, so you can't print any smaller than that. So I'm going to go to, I don't know, 100. Why don't we try 200? That seems aesthetically pleasing. Same thing here. I'm going to come up from the bottom and, you know, give myself a healthy 200 millimeter border on all sides. Okay, now next step, you know, I could come in here and find my midway point. And from here it's just figuring out how close to the midpoint do I want these boxes to go. I'm going to just give myself some, you know, sorts of shapes. Right, and I can even copy and paste those shapes, you know, more than one time. I don't know. I always think it kind of looks nice from a symmetry perspective if you kind of use the same objects more than once. And I'll make sure these two guys are the even spacing, and I can make sure these guys are even spacing, and life's pretty good. So the only thing you might consider right after you do that is if you want them to be, you know, less of a gutter here, maybe you can come in and, you know, move them closer together. But I don't want you to have too many constraints here. I just want you to sort of use your intuition as an artist. Try to measure out things to create symmetry and equivalence. Don't leave it to chance. Make sure you're using some sort of guides. Make all of your boxes in a row the same height. Things like that. That's what makes a composition feel unified. Okay, so once I've laid out frames like this using the frame tool, the nice thing is if I have a Photoshop document or an edited photo that I want to bring in, I can bring that straight in. So if I have a Photoshop, that's the previous example one. So I have this picture of a bird. I don't have to grab the PNG. I can actually go and grab the whole Photoshop document. I'll grab that, bring it into this frame. And notice, just like in InDesign, I have sort of an overstated box where you can see the image itself. And then if I select in on this, if I double click, it goes to that. If I double click again, it goes to the whole image. I can hit Command T just like any other time to expand and contract that image. You know, maybe that's my happy bird size. The nice thing about using frames, I'll show you here. I just grabbed some random photos I messed around with the other day. So okay, and maybe this isn't the world's best composition, but you're getting the idea. Here's what's nice about using frames. Notice I can adjust how I want these images. I can always, you know, expand and rotate these images within the frame to give me the sort of composition I'm going for. But let's say for a second that if I decide that I don't like the way that bird photo looks, I can open it in Photoshop and I'll just do something big and bold so we can tell exactly what I've done. I can go and throw a gradient map on it. Maybe I want the world's craziest lime green bird. If I go ahead and save that, the nice part should be that if I hop back over here to my frames that I was working on, let me actually save this real quick. I'll call this frames. Oh, I must have brought it in as embedded. What I want to do is actually, if I file place linked and I grab that bird, and I put that down in this frame, right? Now let's try this again. Let's change the colors just to prove that this changes. What should happen, yeah. So if I bring my images in a way that they are linked and not embedded, see how there's a little link down here? All the changes I make in Photoshop will update in my artboard composition. So that's kind of the Photoshop features that I wanted you guys to see. When you're done, because we're going to try to prepare these things for print, I want to make sure you export these guys in a way that makes sense. So let's go ahead and save these as a PDF. And the reason why I want a PDF is that'll be prepared then for our printer. We can say OK, save that PDF, yes, and now we have a nice PDF format. When it's finally done saving here, give this 99% a second. 99%, 99%. Come on, Photoshop. Come on, Photoshop. I don't know why it's thinking so hard to try to save this image today. There we go. Now we have this nice PDF file. We're ready to print it, and then we're good to go. So the goal then, create something that sort of highlights and shows off your composition. I don't really like the one that I just did in 5 seconds. This one I spent some more time on. So hopefully you can do something similar. Know that you can also continue to add filters and effects to frames just like their Photoshop documents. You can see here I added some black and white filters to, in my mind, increase the artistic value of some of these dramatic images. So those are my tips.